Okay, so here I am doing some Far Cry 2 level shit, where I have my map of Uhwarrie and I've got it pinned to my steering wheel, and I'm sitting here, like, looking at my phone, trying to drive, you know, sipping an energy drink and getting some old energy drink on my pants, and, you know, all trying to pilot the car at the same time. Fuck. I really heavily overshot where I was supposed to be. Hello, Hornets. Okay. Well, when comparing it to my map, I realized that this is actually the far western side of the park. I don't know that I've ever actually been here, but there is Baden Lake. I was originally trying to get here, but I guess I overshot it. Must have been coming up there. Yeah, there should have been a gravel road that led me onto this side, but there isn't. But I'm right here now. There's a bullet hole. I'm assuming that looks like someone shot that with a fucking slug. Anyway. Now I gotta reconnoiter and figure out what I'm gonna do. Just did some basic scouting of the area, and I checked out some of the markers to see if they had maps. Of course they fucking don't, but hey, whatever. So I have a general idea of where I'm supposed to go, but I'm gonna have to do some back road driving with the old rust bucket that I love, but regardless, this is gonna get interesting. Right now, my car is facing west, and I'm gonna have to basically keep going west and add a little bit of north on that. Gonna end up in something called Kings Mountain? Maybe. We'll see what happens. But essentially, we're heading towards Baden Lake. Gonna do me some fishing. That being said, it's pretty hot today. This was my old med kit for a minute. I think this is actually a mag bag that a Marine sent me. And you can see it's got some stiff. It's got the... But this is heavy. Heavier than a shitty Walmart med kit, which is essentially what I'm packing now, which is lighter and smaller. But you know, the one thing that med kit doesn't have, and I can tell you that is the most important thing, and you can say, Tolster, what's the most important thing? Is it antiseptic? Is it wraps? Is it gauze? What about antihistamines? How about anti-inflammatories? How about automatic circumcisers? No, sir. The most important thing that has possibly saved more lives than penicillin is rehydration salts. Fuck you if you disagree. You're wrong. So I'm harvesting this from my old custom med kit, and before we even get going, well, them little Alka-Seltzers, girl. Put that in there and let it fizz. I cannot stress this enough. Hydration. Or hydrate or dihydrate. Alright. I'm here at some random parking area called Wolf's Den. I'm not sure how much you can see, because I'm looking at this kind of blind. There we go. So I'm at Wolf's Den. That top of that hood is hot. That's fucking hot. Holy shit, I was running this thing real, man. Oof. Maybe it'll get cool. I don't know. Anyway. So what I need to do is I need to head due northeast. And then I can make it to Baden Lake. There's also this weird-ass little island. I do not know if that is part of the national park, but I don't see why freaking not. Anyway, problem is there's no trails. So I would literally just be... Hey, look, a fire pit. So I'd literally just be huffing it. When I said I was kitted out, man, I wasn't kidding you. Oh, I almost forgot the fishing license. Jesus, that would have been bad. Okay, so... Initially, I was on that bank over there. But... looked like a good spot because I hiked all the way up a stream that was leading towards the lake at the northwest side, and I found out that there were normies there. There's normies over there. Okay. Well, anyway, I'm in a normie-infested area of the zone. This is normie territory. Normie stalkers. But I managed to bushwhack to a tiny little... near where a peninsula is. I might want to check that out. But I know that wherever it is that I'm catching the fish, I need to be cooking them separately from where the hell I'm going to be camping. I want where I'm camping to be remote, I want where I'm fishing to be remote, but I need to find two remote spots. Found some great camping spots back along the creek that I could always go to, but then I found, ignore that boat, I swear to God, then I found this little area here. All in all, I may have hiked a couple miles, 2 or 3 miles. It's not the distance for me, it's the jacked up place that I had to, I mean, just how many trees and bushes I had to whack past. But most importantly, despite that it's polluted, because filth, there are not enough clear sky stalkers. It fucking pit. What were you burning? What is this? What is this? What is it even? This is filth. Filth. Okay, so I will basically... that's a better one. Yeah. So I'll just have to rebuild their little fire ring here. But, essentially, I'm in the shade. Not too bug infested. Those normies are leaving. And those normies are all the way over there. I don't think they're gonna get to me. Yeah, so on the really reels, looking back, that's kind of a funny clip because, one, the bugs were just, they were legion. One of the things that I may have neglected to mention in the hammock review, the footage that I got for that was that I was taking both ends of it and kind of trying to lay as flat as possible to seal both ends up because I wanted as few of those. Man, they were humming around the outside of my ear, placed on the inside of the hammock. I could still fucking hear them going, wee, because they just knew that inside the burrito there was a tasty human snack to munch. Now, I don't know if they are responsible. Maybe you can, maybe you can't see. Yeah, look at that. Look at that rash. That's not poison ivy. It doesn't itch. That might be because of all the black ants that were swarming. They had just as good, if not better, access to the inside of the burrito because they were climbing across the little extension bridge to get inside and be with me. I'm sure more than a few of them were sleeping with me. Heck if I know. Every so often I'd feel a pinching and I would just kind of itch it. I did not know it looked like that, and that's getting better because I took a nice hot shower. But I really didn't think anything of it because it's not itching, so I don't know. I'm not even sure what it was. But I was lying down and taking a nap maybe about an hour or so ago, and I was listening to some ASMR, and I was drifting off, and all of a sudden, like, a voice from within just said, Rocky Mountain Spotted Fever. And I bolted fucking dead upright and started Googling because I've done that before, and I think I've even had this rash before, and I had that exact same panic attack where I was just like, Jesus! And then I realized, no, it's okay. So the other thing is that normie stalkers stayed there. For the most part, it was loudmouth rednecks that were kind of just chilling across the way, across the little inlet. Every so often you'd hear, Tristan, I didn't tell you to do that! Then after that, that was replaced by, like, two separate groups. Maybe, like, they could have been the same group, but I don't know. It seems like they disappeared for a minute. There was a group of what seemed like partying teens or some shit like that, because I heard a lot of splashing and female giggling. I guess they were there to smoke the devil's lettuce and listen to their rock and roll albums and make out and do graffiti or whatever. And then after that, it sounded like, if it's not the same group, different group, but it seems like they had not airsoft guns, like paintball guns, and every time you heard this, you know what I mean, you hear, ow! And then, I swear to God, he sounded like a fucking bird. Just this one, mental midget going, hoo, hoo, hoo. Like, every time you hear this, ow, hoo, hoo. And that was literally until about 3 a.m., but it didn't matter, because even after that, I didn't get much sleep. I think I picked the worst spot ever. Every single fucking human being who is annoying is just driving their little powerboats like this is the Chesapeake. Hey, this is not the Chesapeake, man. Baden Lake is not the Chesapeake. What are you doing? Not a very far cast. God, it sucks. I know it's not a rattlesnake, but that just scared the shit out of me. Jesus, bud. What are you doing? Why are you resting here? And you didn't even move. Like, you didn't even think I was a thing, and my foot was 1 second from coming down on your head, bud. I don't know if this is the place for you. Wait a second. Am I in the forest? Oh. I don't know if this is the place for me. But essentially, I just tied it to the tree. I just really knotted it tight. That's what is making me think... Oh, that's dark. That is very dark. Jesus H. Christ. They're not fish that are jumping in the lake. Mama bird is kicking birds out of the nest and they're dying in the water. There is honestly nothing I can do about that. I mean, am I supposed to... I can't. Okay, and now I'm holding a dying, gasping, or possibly just very shocked, or dying, or I don't know, baby avian of some kind. Why did I do that? I was like, oh look, there are fish jumping. Nope, there's a mommy bird pushing birds out of the goddamn nest. And, I figured if it was gonna die, it can die just as well on land as it can in the fucking water. So I've used my pan that I guess I'm not gonna get to use for fish to scoop his butt up. I don't know if it's diseased or not, so put on my fishing gloves, just in case. But that being said, I'm not on the real Forest Ranger roll call, so I don't know what the fuck to do in this case. There's that old myth about, you know, if you touch it, its mom won't take it back, but that's not necessarily true. I've heard that that's actually quite wrong, but the problem is that I don't think he's going back to the nest, but if it was dying, it wouldn't be making that opening noise. It wouldn't, that. I mean, there was some bubbles coming out when it was first, but now it keeps doing it. Come on. There you go. But I can't feed it, and I don't think it goes for more than like 30 seconds without getting fed. It's a bird. Why did I do anything? Why did I even come out today? I was trying to set up my fucking shit, and it's 6:50. I mean, I know we got till like 8 for the sun to go down, but great. Well, now I have a friend, and he's dying. Hey, bird. Are you looking for... There's a bird over there. Are you looking for a baby bird? Do you want to take this one that I have? Are you looking for your fucking bird? It doesn't look a goddamn thing like you, and I'm not even sure if it's still alive anymore. Hey, you. Are you looking for this one? Hey, it is still alive. I watched it move. Is it this one? Do you want it back? I swear to God, you can have it. I don't want it. I took a pair of socks, and I threw it in my frying pan, which, let's face it, it's not going to get any fish. That's where I put Hubert Cumberdale. Actually, he kind of looks like a Arthur C. Cobblepot. If you doubt that he is alive, he very much is, because he likes struggling and trying to go over the edge. What's up, Hubert? There you are. And you say, fuck you. I like this little camping spot. I'm basically secured by the water. I'm starting to see some fish jump. I'm definitely going to put my rod back out in there. Not having any luck, but it took me about an hour to scrounge up enough firewood to get it turned up, as the youth would say. Well, I ended up filming a couple of reviews while I was out there of some gear and some books. I'm not sure in what order I'm publishing these, so maybe you've seen them already and maybe you haven't. The poison ivy is finally clearing the hell up. If that's what that was, I don't know. All the women that I work with are like, yeah. So I was like, yeah, oh yeah, you're gonna get it. So that was fun. That's at least something. You might be wondering about Hubert Cumberdale, or Arthur C. Cobblepot. Rip dead bird, man. I felt kind of dumb, you know, screwing with the natural order of things, and, you know, it's like, I could cut the footage out, but that would be, one, a little bit dishonest, and two, that would literally leave me with, like, no footage, you know what I mean? It'd be like a 3-minute video, which, you know, might spare you from having to watch me for longer than 3 minutes. Depending on how you look at it, I'm either a really cool and complex guy, or I'm just really confused. A lot of times I feel like I'm kind of like, you know, stuck in the middle with you, with clowns to the left of me and jokers to the right. So I'm somewhere in between, like, you know, crazy cowboy, but also tree hugger. So, I mean, it's like, while I'm fishing, I definitely agree that nature is brutal, and animals eat each other. I was gonna catch a fish, and I was gonna take the fucking, my Spyderco Mannix and see if I could gut the fucker, throw the fillet on the pan, and feed myself. And yet that is still my desire. I gotta get my fishing game up. I didn't catch shit. And I was watching them jump. I was seeing them jump across the lake. I literally thought that maybe I had pissed off the rednecks because, you know, I mean, all was quiet. And at one point I literally just got frustrated and shouted, "Fuck you, fish!" Because it's just over there. I used to go fishing with the family, but that was under adult supervision, and we had superior equipment. Like, you know, a powerboat fucking helps. But, so, I don't know. I felt weird messing around with that bird. Maybe I should have just let it die. And I say that because, like, I eventually had to let it die. Like, you know that I walked away from that camp without that bird. I was not taking that thing home. And there's many, many reasons, and I kind of feel dumb and like I have to explain myself. And, man, I don't want to seem, like, vulnerable, like I give a shit what anybody thinks, but at the same time, when I first saw the fucker go in, I was a little bit in shock because I was thinking, that's a fish jumping. And I was immediately going to stop the video because it was so close. I mean, sometimes I saw them jump, and where the shockwave was, the splash, I threw my rod, man. It was a bullseye. Like, they must not like those little fake, minnows. I was going for the smallest bait I could. I got to use worms. We're switching up to worms next time. But I see the poop, and when I looked up into the tree, and I kind of made the realization, I was like, oh, dang, that's a bird. I know this sounds weird, but I have a soft spot. One of the things that I really like thematically in, my art that I consume, the whole theme of, like, that close brush, you know what I mean, that one might get away from. I actually trapped an actual brown recluse in my apartment. I've had several. Everybody always sees brown spiders and thinks that they're like, oh, it's a brown recluse. Like, no, a lot of times it's a wolf spider. Brown recluse are actually very small. My taxonomy game with spiders is strong. So anybody can challenge me on this. If you were following my posts on Facebook, I was confused as hell because I'm like, this is not their territory. What are they doing here? And I was all over spider websites. And I was just like going to, entomologist websites and going like, how can brown recluse be here? And some people were even saying, it's possible because of global warming, that because they would usually be in like the Tennessee, Georgia area, that they might be spreading up because there's nothing to tell them not to keep going this far. Anyway, I trapped one on a glass, and I really this time wanted to check the symbol on its back because there is a spider that looks very similar called the male southern house spider. Hysterical because the female southern house spider looks like a giant fucking tarantula. Haven't met one yet. I'm not even gonna knock on wood. I want to fucking meet one. I want to meet a black bear too. Tolstoy's famous last words. And I was watching it get weaker and weaker. I kept it underneath the glass for like a week, and I watched it get weaker and weaker and weaker. I know it sounds fucked up, but it kind of reminded me of that episode of The Walking Dead before it turned to shit called Here's Not Here. Gotta rewatch that too. I've actually already rewatched it once. I mean, of all the episodes in the series, it's one of the best. Anyway, and I actually even Googled Buddhist perspective on killing spiders, and like immediately Thich Nhat Hanh, this judgmental face of Buddhism, just floats up onto the screen, and I'm like, yeah. So I placed it outside. The next day it wasn't there, but that doesn't mean much. I was just like, can they live without food? Long story short, I don't know, man. I feel like it can always die later, but if you let it die in that moment, you can't make that decision later. You know what I mean? It's like the same mentality about suicide. I'm not necessarily against it, but if you're gonna do it, if it happens, you can't undo it later. You can't unkill yourself. And well, anyway, so I fished the fucker out with the pan, and then it kind of became a Victor Frankenstein thing where I thought to myself, well, there's no way you're going to be able to save it. It's been in the water for too long. But I put my fishing glove on because I didn't know if it was like infected with avian flu or something. And I literally turned the little chick over and kind of gently gave him like, not a squeeze, but just a little guiding shake. And his mouth opened up and bubbles were coming out. And I was like, it don't matter. He still inhaled too much. It's in his lungs. He's going to die. And I kept telling myself that. And then, like, he kind of was making it through. And he kept making the symbol for, like, feed. And I'm like, okay, well, here's the issue. From what I understand, if it is a seed eater and you try to feed it, like, I mean, animals like that, like possums, their diets are very delicate. And from what I understand about birds, if you feed a seed eater, worm mass, it'll kill it. It's toxic. I don't know if it's like, worm eaters can eat seed mass. I don't fucking know. But, I mean, hell, pigeons can literally eat anything. But either way, I was like, this isn't going to work. But I took some of the granola out of my pack, chewed it up, spit it on tip of the gloves, and I just kind of did one of these, and apparently I ran a good risk of, I would later on, now it's 2020, hindsight now, because I've done research, I ran a good risk of choking the motherfucker. Surprising he lived through it, and at first I thought, no, he's just in shock, and you're making it worse, but I put my finger in it, and he just male to female, and went, nom, 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 and he gobbled at the tip, swallowed, and, yeah, I was like, well, I don't know. And then as the sun started going down, The temperature, surprisingly, started going down as well. My first thought is, he can't make it through the night. And I'm like, I can't sleep with him. Like, what do you want me to do? You know what I mean? If it was a dog, I would have, yes, taken every, and that sucks, but it's the truth. You know, humans, we have a line, you know, we don't eat horses, usually. But either way, but I built a big ass fire. Like, man, I had enough firewood collected for that to burn for 3 hours, starting at 8:30, ending at 11:30. And you know, because I remember, because right at that point I started noticing him shiver, and yeah, because he's not in the nest and he doesn't have his brothers, so I'm just like, shit. So I just kind of arranged the socks around him in the pan, stuck the pan on a log near to the fire that he'd be comfortable, not so much that he would cook. You know, the first thing I thought when pulling him out of the river was For the Love of Life. It's a story by Jack London where this dude, it's like just his exploits on how he's surviving because he's been trapped out in the bush on accident. And he finds like some heron or some crane, and he finds its chicks, and he just goes, yeah, and just eats them. And he says the crane is like flipping the fuck out and pecking the shit out of him, and he's just like, yeah, don't care. And he's eating the chicks, and you know what I mean? And it's like he tries to strangle the goose, and the goose, or whatever the hell it is, gets the hell away. And that was my first thought, was just like, you know, you didn't catch any fish. You could always eat it. And I was like, yeah, well, I have an MRE, so.
So we have spaghetti with beef and sauce. This is probably gonna come in some kind of packaging, and I'm probably just gonna, like, it's gonna come in like a, what's the word? It's gonna come in like a plastic bag, and I'm literally just gonna sip it out of the damn plastic bag, so I don't give a fuck. Pretzel sticks. No, you're gonna have to do harder than that for the brave men and women of the armed forces. Oh, this is called a raisin osmotic. I don't know what that means, man, but that's a little bit weird. A raisin osmotic. What did you do to those fucking raisins, bro? Okay. And this is the best part of every MRE. The utility thing that's got like coffee, sugar, gum that's caffeinated, the toilet paper, matches. That's the best part about an MRE, honestly. MREs do nowhere near as tasty as, what's the word? As a backpacker's delight, as a civilian ration. Which one of these is less horrific? Yeah, see, I can't angle it down. There you go. Ooh. It was a dark and stormy night, and Tolstoy couldn't sleep, but he was in the woods. Snack bread. Alright, it's some kind of snack loaf. Alright, so that's essentially like, what's the word, shortbread? Oh no! Horrible melted together Skittles. But that's not what I want. Oh my god. Jesus, this shows how old this is. Holy shit. It says win an Xbox. Not an Xbox 360. No, it does say, I'm sorry, it does say Xbox 360. Holy shit. If it said win an Xbox, like, I was gonna be like, can't eat anything else in this. I can tell you that much right now. Well, I don't freaking need Skittles, boys. Cheese spread. Yeah, that's not freaking weird. I'm not eating cheese whiz spread. Oh, fuck yeah. Lemon lime flavored, no fruit juice. So this is essentially like limeade. Get your surprisingly sturdy MRE spoon, which I've heard some soldier somewhere out there wants to get a confirmed kill with one of these. What the fuck is pepper sauce? And then you have your flameless thing that I'm not gonna bloody use. There it is. Rock or something. You can't see it. The lighting is obviously fucked. You're in the middle of the woods, and it's oof, bug on my neck. And it's 1:14 a.m.
So, placed him near the fire, but the fire was going to go out, and I was up till like 2, 3 a.m. listening to Rednecks and reading my latest John Krakauer novel about Mount Everest. I just thought to myself, by morning he'll be dead. Okay, I mean, I did my best. I was like, he's going to starve. There's no way. So in the morning I get up, and the sun is coming up. First of all, I've already had I drank a little 5-hour energy thing I had in my pack, kept fucking throwing my rod in, because I was up at 6 a.m. and wasn't catching anything. But of course. As soon as the sun comes up, and I walk over to Hubert Cumberdale or Arthur C. Cobblepot or Dead Bird, and as soon as my shadow covered him, he immediately, I don't think his mom kicked him out. I think the fucker jumped. I think he was dumb and wriggling around and jumped because as soon as my shadow came over him, he animated and he jumped up and he started making the universal symbol for feed me again. And I was like, there's no way. There's just no way. And I chewed up more, granola. And I put it on I went and I gave him another dose, and he gobble gobble gobble. Yeah, and he like flipped over, like kind of turned on his side, and he excreted, and it was a large bird poop. And my first thought was, oh my god, whatever I fed him, he processed. That's I don't know how could he, I just it shouldn't have we shouldn't have gotten this far. I didn't think I was gonna get this far, I was really certain he was just dead. And what was really odd is as I was like packing up the camp and everything, I think this was I fed him a third and final time, but as I was kind of, shifting around the pan, man, he became super animated and he was cheeping like. And at first I thought, oh my god, he must be hurt. That's it. He must have had a broken something. Well, then in that case, all for naught, right? But I looked at his wing. I poked both of his wings, and I poked his center, and I poked kind of his feet, and his one little, set of baby talons wrapped around my finger. And I was like, oh god, he has full ambulation, ambules. His limbs work. And I thought about it, and I was like, look, one, I don't know that it's not an endangered species. I really should not be fucking with it. And I was just like, I don't need to be leaving a national park with a fucking endangered species in my backpack. Two, I can't carry him in my backpack. Three, the place that I was coming, the way that I got to that little campsite, despite how nice that looked, was a really fucked up non-trail. There are no trails on that side of Uhwarrie. It's not a trail side of the park. It's just bushwhacking and off-road vehicles. So there was no way he was coming back with me. And four, who was going to take care of him? Long story short, came home, I researched it, and it's a grackle. I was just like birds of North Carolina. They're very common. They're actually quite beautiful when they grow up. They look like ravens or crows, but they have more blue, usually around the neck. I noticed that he had blue in his little growing feathers and everything like that. But by all rights, the fact that he was processing food, yeah, he really could have made it. But, shit happens. So anyway, I left him in the pan. I abandoned the pan. It's iron, so I hope it's not going to hurt nature. I don't know. My cotton socks are in there. That's also by fuck it. It's not any worse than anyone else's left there. I left him on the ashes so that he would stay kind of warm. That was the only thing that I could do. And I guess I kept something else's lunch warm. That's essentially how that plays out. Well, anyway. Then we came to this clearing. And they got a hunting stand up there that looks condemned as fuck. Yeah, go ahead and take that camera.
Are you seriously gonna try to climb that?
No. Maybe. Yeah. First time. Oh no, everything about this is rapey as fuck.
Yeah, don't go up there.
You can't even go up there. Have the ladders on.
Why would that stop me?
We've done worse.
I mean, is this industrial?
If there's any crazy people in there, you better come out.
No, really. I mean, there's no oh, you know what? It could be scrap wood they've just piled, but very strange way to pile that. Like, that's some Blair Witch level shit. Alrighty, I climbed into one of these stands. This is some Last of Us grade shit. Someone just leaving all this stuff, this treasure trove, this stalker supplies right here. Alright.